Ben Shephard is one of Britain's most recognizable television presenters, a warm and dependable face that has graced morning sofas, game show sets, and sporting broadcasts for over 2 decades. Audiences know him for his easy charm, his infectious laugh, and his ability to make everyone around him feel at ease. But behind the polished smiles and the studio lights, Ben has lived through one of the most frightening experiences a husband can face, watching the woman he loves battle a serious health crisis that threatened to turn their world upside down. His wife, Annie Perks, has largely stayed out of the spotlight throughout Ben's career. While Ben has embraced public life with open arms, Annie has preferred the quieter rhythm of family, choosing to raise their 2 sons, Jack and Sam, away from the glare of celebrity. It is a balance that has clearly worked for them. Friends who know the couple describe their relationship as grounded, devoted, and genuinely happy, the kind of partnership that strengthens rather than strains under the pressures of fame. But no amount of happiness can shield a family from the unexpected arrival of illness. A scare that changed everything. The news that Annie had been dealing with a significant health problem did not come with dramatic fanfare. Ben, who is not the type to mind personal suffering for publicity, addressed it quietly and with characteristic dignity. What emerged was a picture of a woman who had faced her health scare with enormous courage, and a husband who had stood faithfully by her side through every difficult moment. Annie had been experiencing symptoms that, at first glance, might have seemed easy to dismiss. Fatigue, discomfort, the kind of signs that busy mothers and wives often wave away, attributing them to the relentless pace of modern family life. But Annie trusted her instincts. She sought medical advice, and what followed was a period of tests, waiting, and the particular kind of dread that descends when doctors begin speaking in careful, measured tones. The diagnosis, when it came, confirmed that Annie was dealing with a serious condition, one that would require treatment, patience, and an enormous reserve of inner strength. Details were kept private out of respect for Annie's own wishes. She has never been a woman who sought sympathy or attention, and even in her most vulnerable moments, she maintained a quiet dignity that those close to her found deeply inspiring. Ben's role as a husband and carer for Ben Shephard, the experience was a profound reminder of what truly matters. A man who spends his professional life filling silences with words found himself, in private, almost lost for them. He has spoken in interviews about the helplessness that comes with watching someone you love suffer, the desperate wish that you could somehow absorb their pain and carry it yourself. What he could do, he did wholeheartedly. He reorganized his schedule wherever possible to be present at appointments, to be home during the difficult evenings, and to be the steady, reassuring presence that Annie needed. Colleagues at ITV noted that while Ben remained professional and cheerful on screen, those who knew him well could see the weight he was carrying. He never complained. He simply got on with it, the way he always does. Their sons, Jack and Sam, were shielded as much as possible from the worst of the anxiety. Ben and Annie made a conscious decision to maintain as much normality as possible for the boys: school runs, family dinners, weekend routines, understanding that stability is its own form of love during a crisis. Annie's fightback. What makes Annie Perks' story so remarkable is not simply that she became unwell, but the manner in which she chose to face her recovery. By all accounts, she approached her treatment with a steely resolve that surprised even those who knew her well. She was diligent about following medical advice, committed to the lifestyle changes that her doctors recommended, and utterly unwilling to let illness define her or diminish her. She leaned on her faith, her friendships, and the unshakable support of her family. There were hard days, there always are. Days when the treatment left her exhausted, when optimism felt like a foreign language, when the finish line seemed impossibly far away. But Annie kept moving forward, one day at a time, driven by a determination to return to full health and to the life she loved. Ben has described watching his wife's recovery as one of the most humbling experiences of his life. Here was a woman who asked for no special praise, no public recognition, no sympathy cards or social media well-wishes. She simply fought, quietly and with extraordinary grace, until she began to win. What the experience taught them: illness has a way of stripping life back to its essentials. For Ben and Annie, the health scare clarified what had perhaps always been true but was now impossible to ignore, that their relationship, their family, and their health were the only things that genuinely mattered. Ben has spoken since about a renewed appreciation for the ordinary moments, the shared cup of tea in the morning, the laughter at the dinner table, the simple comfort of being in the same room as the people you love. He has become, if anything, more present, more deliberate in the way he engages with his family and more mindful of the fragility of good health. Annie, for her part, emerged from her ordeal with a quiet confidence. She had faced something frightening and she had not been broken by it. That knowledge, that she was stronger than the worst thing that had happened to her, is a gift that illness, strange as it sounds, sometimes gives to those who survive it. A love story, above all the story of Ben Shephard and Annie Perks is, at its heart, a love story. Not the sweeping, cinematic kind, but the real and durable kind, built on loyalty, honesty, and the willingness to show up for each other when showing up is the hardest thing in the world. Annie's illness tested them. It frightened them. It reminded them, with brutal clarity, that time is not guaranteed and love is not something to be taken for granted. And from all the evidence, it only made them stronger. Today, Annie continues her recovery, living the quiet, purposeful life she has always preferred. And Ben continues to present, to smile, to make television audiences feel welcome, carrying with him, always, the private knowledge that the most important work he has ever done has never been on camera at all.